It's the end of a long and epic journey. We're live in London and Wellington for the premiere of the final Hobbit instalment.
Also this morning live in London and in Wellington for the premiere of the Hobbit's last instalment. The end of a very long journey. After the break, we'll take you through that epic trip so far. Now, today marks the end of a very long and epic journey in many ways. It's the third and final instalment of The Hobbit, and it's premiering simultaneously, the main premiere in London, but also a little premiere in Wellington. Sir Peter Jackson's adaptation of the Lords of the Ring prequel has been one of the most successful trilogies in movie history.
If the Battle of the Five Armies does as well as the first two films, then it will make an excess of $1 billion in worldwide sales. And it will also go down as one of the most expensive, with the budget for all three films just shy of $1 billion as well. Amazing.
Wow, that is serious cash, isn't it? Let's take a look back now at the mystical adventure that's captivated the hearts and minds of millions of J.R.R. Tolkien fans. Sam Kelway dives into the magical world.
It was a tale of epic proportions, a journey that created a fellowship of the ring equivalent to no other.
It's its secret.
Mystical creatures and testing friendships.
They're precious, maybe ours.
He needs to murder us!
I'm not sending him away.
But before all of that was a time much simpler.
I'm going on an adventure!
An adventure that would lead a hobbit on the trip of a lifetime.
I'm surrounded by dwarves. What are they doing here?
Oh, they're quite a merry gathering.
And a quest to reclaim the lost dwarf kingdom from a dragon called Smaug. Here, Bilbo meets a creature that will change his life forever.
If Baggins loses, we need to go.
Fair enough.
Gaining possession of a precious ring that holds mysterious and magical qualities, while the wizard Gandalf is aware of something much darker looming on the horizon.
Why Bilbo Baggins? Perhaps it is because I'm afraid. It gives me courage.
The band of dwarfs battle and blunder their way back to their forgotten kingdom, forcing the evil dragon to flee. But what peril may yet await these plucky adventurers?
Well, that's the journey so far.
It's been many years. With the Battle of the Five Armies set to hit public cinemas this week, it'll be wrapping up, of course, this long, mystical tale. And we've got extensive coverage of the premieres in Wellington and in London today. So we'll be checking in with Briar Wells, who's at the event in the capital just before 7.
Yeah, then about 7:20 we're going to speak to one of the people who's made the dream come alive. We get to have another chat to Sir Richard Taylor, of course, the Weta Workshop co-founder.
Then in our 8 o'clock hour, we'll be checking out how the London event is going with Europe correspondent Jessica Much on the red carpet.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. We were talking in the studio this morning, are you into it or are you not? And it seems as though you're either completely into it or not interested.
All in or not at all, yeah.
However, given the phenomenal amount of money it has made and the interest in New Zealand as a result of The Hobbit in particular, actually maybe that's not fair because The Lord of the Rings certainly sparked that interest
But
as well.
even if you're not a fan, you can only appreciate just what it's done for New Zealand. I mean, in terms of tourism figures alone, it's just been an absolute phenomenon. It's all about The Hobbit this morning, and the final Hobbit film, of course, is premiering right now, showcasing Middle-earth one last time, and Briar is there in Wellington.
Yes, we are here at the Roxy as fans and film crew and cast get ready to watch the final instalment of The Hobbit. I'll explain what's happening here after the break.
Yeah, we're also going to have a chat to a tourism industry leader and ask if the Lord of the Rings money spinner is going to wear out soon.
Welcome back to the show. It's 7:15. Now, it may not be the big red carpet event that London is, of course, hosting right now, but little old Miramar in Wellington is still getting a piece of the action this morning.
Yeah, it's where the New Zealand screening of the last Hobbit instalment, the Battle of the Five Armies, is being held, and Briar Wells is there. Briar, you're at the Roxy Cinema, where this is going to be shown this morning. Is there a buzz there yet?
Yes, good morning from the Roxy cinema. The doors have now opened and the guests are starting to trickle in. So these are the fans and the film crew and cast that worked on the movies here in New Zealand. And while most of the bigwigs are over at the London premiere, we are getting some special VIPs. Sir Richard Taylor will be here, as well as some of the cast, some of the dwarves who were in the film. So we'll be speaking to them on the show a little later. So it's only fitting that the screening is being held here at the Roxy. The cinema had a bit of a revamp a few years ago with funding from Peter Jackson and Richard Taylor, and of course Miramar here. This is where the movies were made. They were made down at Weta Workshop just down the road, so that's pretty cool. And so while we're not getting the big premiere that they're getting over in London, we are getting some of the glitz and glamour from the red carpet. Behind me we've got the screens. They're beaming in from London, so you can see all the special guests over there walking down the red carpet. Orlando Bloom just walked down, so guests here are able to go into a couple of the cinemas to watch that happen. And the movie itself is also going to be simultaneously shown, and that's going to start at around 8:30. And the fans here, they're so excited to see it. Obviously this is a bit of an end of an era. It's the last Hobbit movie to be made. Some of the fans have been waiting outside for around 12 hours. Some have Hobbit ears on and stuff, so they're all very excited. I also get to sit in on it this morning, and I've seen all the Hobbit movies, so I'm pretty excited too.
Excellent. Well, you're the right person to be there. Thanks so much for that, Briar.
Miramar's probably the only place where you wouldn't blink if you saw someone with Hobbit ears walk past, would you?
No, you wouldn't bat an eyelid, that's for sure.
So the Roxy, where they're doing this, it's awesome. This was sort of brought back to life by, as Briar was just saying, Sir Richard and other filmies and foodies in the Miramar area, which is thought of as the heart of filmmaking in New Zealand, isn't it? For obvious reason, I guess.
Do you think a lot of those people there kind of just wish they were in London?
I'm sure they do right now. 6:30 in the morning versus, what is it, 7:30 in the evening over in London, or 5:30 in the evening.
On a Monday.
Yeah.
OK, along with the third Hobbit movie comes the return of the global spotlight, of course, on New Zealand and our picturesque landscapes and scenery. Tens of thousands of fans have come here to see the real Middle-earth for themselves. But just how much have we actually gained from the movies in tourism dollars? Let's go back to Wellington now, back to the Roxy, and bring in the Chief Executive of the Tourism Industry Association, Chris Roberts. Good morning to you, Chris. A good morning down there, is it?
Good. Oh, fantastic morning here in Wellington.
I know it must be hard to quantify exactly, but give me a monetary value on just what these movies have meant for this country.
Well, we know that The Hobbit gives us a platform to have a global conversation about New Zealand as a tourism destination. And in the last year, 13% of all our international holiday visitors said that The Hobbit was an influence on their decision to come to New Zealand. So that's an incredible achievement from a trilogy of movies to have that impact on people's decision on where they go for a holiday. So a very, very significant impact. And
how has that changed from going back to Lord of the Rings in terms of where people want to go? Are we seeing now with The Hobbit that people are really liking the set and the MATAMATA as opposed to all heading down to Queenstown to see the landscapes?
Yeah, well, that's what's changed, I guess, since the Lord of the Rings. And back then, about 6% of our visitors were citing the movies. Now it's 13%. And, of course, we now have Hobbiton, and a world-class attraction, seeing hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. The Weta Workshop attractions here in Miramar, another big attraction. And around the country, all those movie sets, they're still drawing the crowds. And, of course, we have tourism operators, dozens of tourism operators around the country, giving our visitors a little bit of a taste of Middle-earth when they come to New Zealand.
Is there a sort of a fear of sorts that this being the final film, the last instalment, that the attraction may wear off in years to come? Are there any plans on how they'll continue to keep that momentum up?
No, I always think of Sound of Music when that question gets asked. People are still going to Austria to, you know, because the hills are alive with the Sound of Music. It's still an attraction 60 years on. So Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, they're still going to be drawing visitors to New Zealand in decades' time, not just in a few years' time. This is a lasting legacy that Sir Peter Jackson has given to New Zealand.
So the films really do have that iconic status with people across the world?
Oh, yes. I mean, you've got the absolutely crazy fans, some of whom are here today, but it's also a movie that actually attracts a very wide audience, and it's just something a bit different. And when you're thinking about a holiday, you're sitting in Europe somewhere, and New Zealand might be on your list, The Hobbit might just be the thing that puts New Zealand right there at the top, and you get on that plane and you come here.
Well, very exciting, and we're glad to have you on this morning. And of course, it has just been such a brilliant thing for this country and tourism. Chris Roberts, Chief Executive of the Tourism Industry Association. Enjoy the film at 8:30.
It's just phenomenal money. You know, Chris was talking about how 13% they say now of international visitors are here in part because of The Hobbit, directly as a result of The Hobbit, in part. Now, here's the spending. You mentioned Hobbiton in MATAMATA, as opposed to... Because, of course, during The Lord of the Rings, it was all about the landscapes, visiting Middle-earth, going to Queenstown and touring through the area and seeing where it was all filmed. Now, since 2009... when they reckoned that the international spending in the MATAMATA district, in the Hobbiton area, was about 11 million in 09. These films, the Hobbit films, started coming out in 2012. Since 09, that has gone from 11 million to 37 million for the year, for the end of last year. From 11 million to 37 million based on these films.
I mean, obviously it's transformed MATAMATA, but actually quite literally put it on the map, hasn't it? I mean, people wouldn't have even stopped there.
It's amazing.
And now it's the go-to. It is amazing. It is.
Plus, well, we're live with Sir Richard Taylor this morning as The Hobbit's final chapter hits the silver screen. That's in less than an hour. So what's next for the digital magic powerhouse? And then...
The final instalment of the Hobbit trilogy has premiered in London and Wellington today. The end of the Tolkien franchise that spanned 6 movies, all shot in New Zealand. The country's tourism association says the successful films have been a major boost.
In the last year, 13% of all our international holiday visitors said that The Hobbit was an influence on their decision to come to New Zealand. So that's an incredible achievement from a trilogy of movies to have that impact on people's decision on where they go for a holiday. So a very, very significant impact.
And that's Tourism Industry Association Chief Executive Chris Roberts.
Hobbits, dwarves and a fire-breathing dragon. Yes, the final Hobbit film is here. We're live with Sir Richard Taylor at the premiere in Wellington.
Well, it's a huge day for the team at Weta Workshop as the final instalment of the Hobbit trilogy premieres here and in London simultaneously. The man behind the screen magic, special effects guru, Sir Richard Taylor, joins us now from the Capitals event. Sir Richard, good morning to you. Now, I've been instructed to talk loudly because it's obviously a wee bit noisy where you are. How big is today? You know, this isn't just another premiere. This is the end of the Tolkien journey.
Well, it's an incredible day for all of us. I think it's been about 16 years since we set out on this crazy odyssey that's expanded and grown as we've gone along. And to see it all conclude here at the Roxy in Miramar, where it all started, is just fantastic. An incredible turnout and great feeling of festivities.
Yeah, you mentioned how you're in Miramar, and obviously the main big premiere is going on in London at the same time. You know, on the balance of things, are you happier where you are rather than being at the red carpet event in London?
I'm definitely happier where I am, and I can imagine some of the filmmakers that are in London would probably be lamenting that they're not sharing it here back in New Zealand, because obviously to spend time with your friends and celebrate is much cooler than being on the other side of the world where you're distant from all the people that actually made it happen. And it's lovely to be here amongst my colleagues, my friends, and all the people that have been along on the journey with us.
How do you watch premieres, Richard? I mean, are you able to relax now and just enjoy the film, or do you still look at it going, oh, that could have been slightly better there? I mean, you know, how can you enjoy a premiere?
I can. I always feel it's a little disingenuous to the people that have made the film if you're too analytical and pick it apart right at the end. We like to think that you've done the finest job you possibly could up until the moment that it's taken out of your hands, the bit that you're doing, and that's all you can offer. So hopefully we sit and enjoy it today and just forget about the past few years of making it and enjoy it for the incredible experience it will be.
Do you sometimes like watching other people in the premiere, people who you know haven't seen any of this yet, and actually trying to gauge their reactions to it? Does that give you a lot of pleasure? Because at the end of the day, that's why you're doing it.
Exactly. You don't set out to make a film to win an award or garner accolades. You make it to entertain people around the world. You make it to bring a special slice of entertainment to people for those 3 hours. And hearing people's reactions and enthusiasm for something that you've toiled so hard on is a really critical and enjoyable part of it. Going out to the conventions around the world and hearing from the fans how significantly these movies have changed their lives have an impact, and you can bring those stories back to New Zealand and share it with your friends.
Richard, I want to ask you about where you are. Of course, we talked earlier in the show about how important and dear the Roxy is to your heart and to many of the people who you work with in Miramar. You've got something planned for those who aren't able, obviously, to be at this special premiere, to be able to, I don't know, keep them sort of satiated up until the movie officially opens?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife Tanya and her partner Jamie built the Roxy. They built it in an effort to give something back to the community of Miramar and the people of Wellington, to acknowledge where it all started all those years ago. Miramar has been incredibly good to us as a group of filmmakers, and so the premiere being held here is a very important thing for all of us. And then the fact that they have gone on and done incredible entertainment on the front of the building to bring in and share this experience with those that can't attend the premiere. I think it's pretty amazing of them to have gone to such an effort, and wonderful that both Roadshow and Warner's have agreed to hold it here in this small cinema instead of trying to garner the huge numbers that would be achieved at a bigger cinema in central Wellington.
Of course.
It's a wonderful festive experience.
Very quickly, Sir Richard, because I've run out of time, are we going to, the fans, are we going to be left satisfied, or are we going to be left panging for more?
No, I'm sure that Peter has wrapped up this film so that he concludes the 6-part journey and everyone will feel satisfied.
Have a great morning, Sir Richard Taylor. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, and cheers to everyone.
What a guy. Now we have to take a...
Follow me. One last time.
Well, the epic journey, of course, comes to a close. We've talked to one of the men behind the scenes. Now we're going to meet some of the film's favourite dwarves and reflect on this incredible 16 years of filmmaking.
So yes, the countdown is well and truly on now. Next on Breakfast, we have a couple of special guests joining us from the Wellington screening of The Hobbit, and they're certainly bigger in real life than they appear in the film. Hobbit's biggest stars mix and mingle on the red carpet in London. Some of the actors who play the dwarves are having their own little celebration at the Wellington screening, of course, at the Roxy. Now, this morning joins me Peter Hambleton and John Kalan. They're in Wellington. Can you guys hear me all right? I know it's quite busy there.
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How does it feel to be at this premiere, the final Hobbit film?
Well, it's outstanding. Every single one of these films is outstanding, and what we love about being here is the fact that here we are in the middle of Middle-earth.
Yes, indeed. And it's wonderful to be here. There's a great mix of people here this morning. Some of the actors, our fellow dwarf actors, production people, crew, and fans as well. So much an important part of the mix, and we're having a lovely time, and just so excited about going in to see that last movie.
We've seen bits and pieces of the film. We haven't seen the whole film, so we're as excited as everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realise. So you haven't seen it in its entirety, so you will be very excited to see how the final cut comes out. How does this premiere feel? How is it different to the other ones, with that sense knowing that this is the last one?
I think it's going to be very emotional in lots of ways. I mean, story-wise, I've been saying to people that you need to take a box of tissues, but also certainly for the whole team, the massive team that have worked on these movies. Well, now, if you're looking at the whole Middle-earth movies over 16 years, those of us that have worked the last 3 on them are going to be experiencing mixed emotions, a great pride, but also it's a farewell as well to an extraordinary part of our lives, and but it's something fantastic to celebrate as well for all Kiwis.
Yeah, people have asked us what is in the third film, and somebody said, actually, if you want to know what's in the third film, read the book. Apparently there's a book of these films.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe not. How close-knit is the family now? I mean, you say you've been together filming for many years, some of you. Is it going to be hard to sort of break up the wee Hobbit family?
I think we will always feel like we're part of this family. It's been a very intense experience working together with all these amazing people for the past 3 years, and for some of us we get invited to fan conventions and meeting face to face with the fans in various parts of the world, and so the liveness and the kind of the passion involved in that whole story is going to continue to be a part of our lives, I'm happy to say.
Yeah. What is wonderful is that so many of the fans know so much about Tolkien that they are the real experts, if you like, and ultimately the fans are the people for whom we've been doing the work.
And that must be part of the magic as well, to be part of something that is so very much driven by the fans. They're pretty much the most passionate fans in the world, aren't they?
I would say so, yes. I can't think of any other group of films that has attracted so much passion and so much of a following. And one of the wonderful things about modern social media is the fact that one can have contact with people all the way around the world. It's just extraordinary, and the messages of support and affection keep on pouring in. And here we are to share it. It's great.
Well, we're so thrilled for you, and best of luck for the premiere. Have a lovely time, and we will all see it when it comes out in cinemas as well. Peter Hamilton and John Callan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If you're a true Tolkien fan, you'll know exactly which characters they played. Ali. So Peter on the left, I think, played Gloin.
Yeah.
And see, the true Tolkien fans will now be saying, no, it's not his Glochin.
See, I was thinking we were going to have Bomber and Dwalin.
No, we got Gloin and Groin. Oh, no, we got Son of Groin, because John Callan played Oin, who's the son of Groin. So Peter was Gloin and John was Oin, son of Groin.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go there, because it could have gone in a horrid direction. So I just went with their real life names. No, so awesome, and such cool guys as well. Now,
fantastic. And how rare is it as an actor to not only get one film part, but to be told, hold on, it's going to be a trilogy. Oh, and it's, you know, Peter Jackson and Weta, they'll be doing it, so you're guaranteed success.
Yeah, and of course, after, as they were saying, the fans, they get to go to all the, you know, the Armageddons around the world.
They can go for
years. I mean, MacGyver was here. Richard Dean Anderson was here not that long ago, and his MacGyver fans are as strong as ever. So we're going to go to, we've obviously done everyone at the Wellington premiere. We're going to go to the London premiere after 8 o'clock and see things, see how things are going on the red carpet, where the last instalment of The Hobbit is being premiered there.
Yeah, very much red carpet style, although, as you see, most of them seem to prefer being in Wellington. Plus, right, coming up on Breakfast, well, we're back in the capital for the last instalment of this epic journey, Briar.
Yes, everyone's starting to walk into the cinemas to watch the movie, but I've managed to grab one of the country's biggest Hobbit fans. We'll have a chat after the break.
Right, let's go down now, back for the final time to the New Zealand screening of the last Hobbit instalment. The movie about to start, Briar, and you've got one of the excited guests.
Yes, here the foyer is emptied out, so everyone's gone upstairs to take their seat, ready for the movie to start at 8:30. That's being simultaneously broadcast over from London. But before we go up, I've grabbed Jack McKeeler. He is the head of the Tolkien Society here in New Zealand. So, Jack, what are you dressed as today?
Sort of a generic soldier, really. It's kind of, I've cheated a little bit. If you pick a specific character, people are going to say, oh, that's not quite right, so I sort of went generic today.
So how big is a day like this for you as a fan?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's the last one, of course, so that makes it a bit more special even. The last two Hobbit movies were big events as well. Well, that's a smaller event, and it's symbolically much bigger. This is the last of the big movies, so the last of the Middle-earth movies, so we'll be sorry to see the end of it. It's kind of glad to see it, but also sad to know that it's the last one.
So there have been 3 of these movies. Do you think Peter Jackson has done the books justice?
I think so, yeah. There's changes. I think if you're going to make a movie from a book, there's always going to be changes, and there's always going to be controversy. I've really enjoyed them as movies. I still enjoy the book for all its differences as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's any worries for me there.
There is a huge fan following from the movies and the books. Why do you think it's so popular?
Well, the book has been out since 1937, and it's really only ever grown. It was popular pretty much from the moment it was published. So it's had this big fan following as a book for so many years, and then finally somebody makes it properly as a movie. It was always going to get a fan following, but to know that somebody's putting the necessary amount of detail into it, and you know, the effort that has gone into it, it's been really nice to see that done properly.
So today is just the first viewing. How many times do you reckon you're going to go see it in the movie theatres?
I was hoping that question wouldn't come up. Don't know. We're also booked into the midnight sessions, and after that we'll see when we have time for the next session after that. But there will be others, I suspect, and we can't wait for the DVD to come out.
So a true fan, obviously. So we've got to rush upstairs now to take our seats ready for the movie to start.
Awesome. Yeah, you go get your seats there. Thanks for that, Briar. He's got a bit of a fan of his own, hasn't he, standing next to him?
No, that was an animation.
No, real person.
Oh.
Yeah. This is coming up after the break, and then a little later in the show, we're going back live to London, where the glitz and glamour of the final Hobbit premiere is being played out on the red carpet.
Right, let's move on. We're going to go to London now. London's Leicester Square packed to its four corners with Hobbit fans. The city hosting the red carpet premiere, the main proper premiere of the last instalment of the massively successful trilogy, and along with it, some of the film's biggest names. Well, our Europe correspondent Jessie Much has been... Jessie? I don't know where that came from. Sorry, Dean's blue holes put me off a bit. Jess Much has been checking it out and joins us now. Jess, nice to see you. Now, I know you've just come back from checking out the atmosphere over at Leicester Square. What's it like over there?
Yeah, I have, and don't worry, Rawdon, you can call me Jessie, it's okay. We know each other well enough now. It was really exciting, actually, I have to say. I mean, you guys would have known, having been to Leicester Square before, the atmosphere there, even on a normal day, is pretty exciting. But today it had a real electricity about it. Basically what they do is they shut off a whole corner of it so that the stars can parade down in front of big groups of fans and in front of the world's media, of course, as well. So a whole section of that is kind of shut off from the public, and if you're just wandering around like a general member of the public, you can't peer over the large barricades. So people are queuing up for hours and hours to wait and see their fans and to wait and see the stars. And then when the stars come, you hear this huge big roar of the crowd. So it really is a pretty amazing and festive atmosphere down there. I went and spoke to some of the real hardcore fans who had been waiting there for several hours just to get a glimpse of the stars. Here's what they had to say. Who are you hoping to see here tonight?
Legolas. Orlando Bloom. I really want to see him. Oh my god. It's our first time that we are like stuck here, you know, in the middle of a premiere. I've never catch like before.
I've just been walking around trying to find a spot all day.
11.
I think I've been here since 9 or something, and I came and I queued, and they were like, oh, you don't have a wristband, so you might as well go, and I was like, I'm not giving up.
I see you've got the book there. Are you hoping for a few signatures?
Maybe, if I hope so. From all the way from New York, I just love everything about Tolkien. It's just so cool to be in London, where, you know, like, he was here, and oh, it's so amazing.
Just anyone, really. Anyone famous, I think. That's just who we just like to see them, really.
Like yourself, Jess. Did you give that last one a signature? Now, look, this, of course, is the final movie. Some of the stars have been with this for all 6 throughout Lord of the Rings and, obviously, through the Hobbit trilogy. What are the moods there amongst the stars when they're turning up for what will be the last time, and what will be, for some of them, just a massive part of their lives?
Yeah, well, a lot of them have done this 3 times for Lord of the Rings and then again for the Hobbit 3 movies as well. And so they've been doing it for a long time. They've been working with Sir Peter Jackson for a long time. They've been based in New Zealand for a long time. So there was a reoccurring theme that they're really proud of this movie, but also a little bit sad that this very well could be the last time they're all getting together and doing that. And there were lots of words like that spoken on the red carpet. I do have to say, though, there was one moment where Peter Jackson actually said, oh, don't forget, guys, though, don't worry, I'm going back to New Zealand for 6 months to work on the unedited version. So he'll go back and do another 6 months' work while everyone else gets to sign it off, if you like.
And, of course, while we're, excited and proud of the product coming from New Zealand, it also does mean quite a lot for the country itself. New Zealand almost being treated as a character in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find even living away from New Zealand, when people hear where you're from, they're like, ah, Lord of the Rings, ah, The Hobbit. And it really is synonymous now with New Zealand. And that was just re-emphasised today, and what it means for our tourism industry and our brand recognition and things like that. Just so many of the actors were saying how much they enjoyed being in New Zealand and how beautiful it was. And, of course, all the people who go and get to see the movie get to see that as well. So I think in a broader perspective, it's not just about the movie, it's also about the benefits that it brings for New Zealand as well, and that was definitely highlighted at the premiere in London.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Can only be good for all of us. Jess Much, Europe correspondent, thanks for your time.
Yeah. Good old Jessie. She's right, though. When you go overseas, it is synonymous. Everyone says, oh, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, we can find it from New Zealand. Randomly, when I was in Hawaii a while ago, someone said, where are you from? I said, New Zealand. They said, oh, once were warriors.
Wow.
How about that? It's like, yes, you know your
history. And you said, well, don't you mean Lord of the Rings? Mind you, it's interesting, because it's always been All Blacks.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, well, there's one person in Hawaii who still remembers it for Once Were Warriors. And now it is all about the Tolkien films.
Yeah, stay with.
My lord, dispatch this force to Ravenhill. The dwarves are about to be overrun. Thorin must be warned.
By all means, warn him. I've spent enough elvish blood in defense of this accursed land. No more.
Sandrill!
I'll go.
Don't be ridiculous. You'll never make it.
Why not?
Because they will see you coming and kill you.
No, they won't. They won't see me.
It's out of the question. I won't allow it.
I'm not asking you to allow it, Gandalf.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times. You'll have a tale or two to tell of your own when you come back.
Can you promise that I will come back?
No.
Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old.
One day I'll remember. Remember everything that happened. The good, the bad, those who survived, and those that did not.